Who are you? Who are you really? Are you living the life of your true passions, your dream life? Or are you living a life dictated to you by your family or society? One reason I was drawn to dream work is that I truly believe it helps us discover who we really are. And if in that process we come to realize we're not comfortable in our own skin, dreams can give us guideposts on how we can connect with our true selves. My guest today, Temple Hayes, realized early on that she wasn't comfortable with the life that was imposed on her in the small town southern community where she was raised. While she became an outwardly successful adult, she felt as if she were dying a little each day until she received a message that she was loved by God, a message that put her on the path to true healing. Through her work as a spiritual healer, she's now committed through her books and as a role as motivational speaker and radio host to guide others to the impassioned and energized living they want to deserve. Temple has written several books, including the bestseller When Did You Die? And is featured in the new book Crappy to Happy. Welcome to the Dream Power Show, Temple.
Oh, thank you, Debbie. And it's a pleasure to be here. It's interesting as you were saying that, I was thinking about, like so many people, I used to say, I'm waiting on my dreams to come true. And I changed it in my own life that my dreams are waiting on me to come true. So
Well,
that was very moving and inspiring, of that knowing about the law of attraction and possibilities and positive thinking. If something wasn't coming my way that I thought, where are you? I would go back to, wait a minute, I must need to do some inner work on myself. So anyway, I thought you would like that. My dreams are waiting on me to come true.
I love the way you express that. Temple, I actually want to go back to your childhood because people would say you had a rough childhood, and yet you were able to embrace faith and get to the place where you're now an inspiration to others. What enabled you to, in effect, rise up from the ashes of despair?
Well, there would be a saying in some circles that said I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And it's like my father said, you're so wise and yet acting so ignorant at the same time. So it was a series of things, but I had an awakening when I was 29, in the middle of the night, that said, if you want to live, don't ever drink again. And so that was a big clearing up. I've been sober 33 years. That was a huge thing, because when you're medicated or you're influenced by over sugar or alcohol, you're not clear. Your sponge isn't fresh and vibrant and energetic. So there's an allowance of abuse and neglect and things like that that can be in the way. But when you're clear in your thinking, when you're clear in your awareness, you can say, whoa, what in the world was what was I, thinking at the time? Due to my early childhood of my mother being taken away because of an accused alleged affair, or my parents discovering that I was with a woman when she was 17 and I was 13 and a half. Those are kind of big deals in a Southern Baptist community. I would imagine they still are. you know but that being said, because I felt rejected, then I was doing things in my life to reject myself.
Mm. Well, one of the things I want to talk to you about, your sexual identity, because that was one of the things that you repressed until you
Hmm.
came to accept yourself. So, how did you come to accept yourself?
It was a long road. We were in the 60s. That's like people talking about bullying and things like that, though it's significant. But try being gay in the 60s. We didn't even use the word then. It was homosexual tendencies. So it would be the good friends I would meet along the way that I would say, let's try this out, because my grandmother had told me when I was 13 and a half that she was sorry that I was going to hell, and that she would not be able to have eternal life with me. And so in that level, there was that sensation that would come up even as an adult, even though I knew the people that are in your life are in your life for a reason. I knew what to tell myself. I knew what my mind needed to say. That inner little girl would go, uh-oh, what would Debbie think if she really knew? Right. And so just through experience and unconditional friends, but the biggest aha was with unity, the community of unity. That's an international, non-denominational community that at 19 a friend invited me, and for the first time in my life I heard that it's okay if you're gay, God still loves you.
Mm.
That was
And
powerful. That was a, I don't want to leave, I just want to sit here, I want to cry, I want to breathe all this in, and I need to make sure that what I heard was really what they said.
that must
So,
have been a major, major relief to you.
yes, a major, major relief because I felt so connected with God. And that was the dichotomy, because as a little girl, I got a calling at 5 that, like, you came here for a reason, or whatever the words were for a 5-year-old. It was like, whoa, who is that? God's talking to me. So I felt this strong connection with God, not a God I saw on Sunday or heard about or heard somebody yelling at in, about in religiosity, but it was such a disconnect. Like, how can I be talking to this God? I know that's who it is. And yet they're telling me that that God would not only never talk to me, but would never want anything to do with me ever. That was tough. That was tough.
So what was it that you found at Unity that told you that there actually was a different God who can accept you?
Their theology, though they would not say that they have a doctrine, their belief system is that God loves everything and everyone, and who you are is who you're supposed to be. You were born that way. You were sent as you are. And so I started thinking about that differently. Like, I'm sent as a different package of love. I'm here to help people see beyond a package of expectation or what people think, that this is who I am. And so through the years, I had a somewhat of a chameleon. I was out to the people that I knew well and shadowed to the people that I wasn't sure. And that really wasn't for me like walking my talk, because I'm so um, overt and, energy wise, telling who I am and calling it the way I see it. I didn't do it on purpose. It just took a few steps to overcome that. Oh my gosh, I could die. Somebody could kill me. They're going to put me away in a mental, they're going to come get me in the van, you know. So the huge breaking point for me was when I loved someone that mattered so much that I was never willing to not share who she was in my life.
Mm. And did your family accept your sexual identity?
They did then. I was 45, 46 years old.
So it took a long time.
It took a long time, because I had created a chosen family.
Mm.
I created a chosen family. And again, as a person in my mind, I didn't think about that. If I told you at 35 and you never, had anything to do with me, I would go, well, God, that happens. It wasn't an intentional cover up. And that's what happens with people, and they're just not aware. It's the underneath on the subconscious level that's carrying us, that brings up that fear, that brings up that hesitation, that brings up the bump, bump, bump. You're getting ready to be abandoned. They're not going to like you. Bam, bam. And so you kind of crawl in. And the biggest thing for me wasn't whether or not someone knew that I was gay, but because of that factor, I held back my heart a lot. I just was holding back, like, here I am, see me, I'm here for you. I wasn't totally allowing people to get close to me. And I never would have believed that if you told me. I would have probably debated it, and been somewhat argumentative. Me, I live out loud. What you talking about? But on another level, that was absolutely true. But talk about freedom. Wow, freedom. So once I opened that door, because your soul always knows. So once I opened the door and I told a public story, then Lifetime Television called and wanted me to tell a story about my life, and that's the one they wanted me to tell. And after that, I never looked back, because I went, that was on TV, so everybody knows anyway.
Yeah. And do you think it was the fear that just held you back from really telling the world everything about you?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's that inner child work. It's that being caught off guard. It's that, wow. Um, it's not easy when your whole family and your whole tribe, that they can't deal with you because of your sexual preference. It's that's a big cause of suicide today. And today people can actually talk about it, and there's lots of support systems and things of that nature. But there's very few things, I think, that compare to the people that birthed you to deny you. That's hard. That's a big deal, especially for years. Debbie, that they called being gay a choice. And they know different now, but not only are you that, but it's like it's a choice. When you're adopted, people don't hold you accountable like, well, that was your choice.
Mhm. Well, unfortunately, there are some people out there who still don't even believe that.
Yes,
There's
of
still,
course.
yes. So
Yes.
it's,
Well, that's karma. They get opportunities and experiences to learn more about it in one way or another, because we're all living out loud, and we're not going away. This experience of life and the evolution of humankind is not going away. And love comes in many different packages. So
mhm. And how did your coming out and revealing your true self affect you in your business and the rest of your life?
oh, just a thousand different ways. Just there's a saying that says, to the number of times you tell your story is the number of times that you have your healing. And it was just so powerful. And when I would share it with people, and when I shared it with our spiritual community, at the time we had 700 or 800 people coming a week, and I got 3 standing ovations. And of course, many people wanted to call me back in the corner and say, "Oh, I always knew," or I think what's funny for me now is when someone doesn't know I'm gay. I go, "What?" Yeah, it was just a great healing. It was just really, really huge. And I just think about the need to be me more than I think about the need to, what will someone think. And I think that that's kind of a thing that happens a lot as people become more mature and comfortable with who you are. But in addition to that, it's like, it's just, you find that the people that you're seeking to like you, you're not even telling the truth about how much you like them in the first place.
Mhm. Uh, you've been quoted by saying that we are dying when we're living. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is, in practical everyday life, people being in a job for the paycheck instead of the love of it. People being in a marriage because of a child, because they make up this story of, it's better off for the kids. It's better off for the kids to listen to us argue all the time and fight and, be pretentious, than to just, accept that this is the end of our journey together or whatever. People are dying when they're not being authentically themselves. And so there's many examples. People are dying when they say no and they mean yes, or they say yes and they mean no. When they apologize for who they are. And how do I know that? Well, because I was dying too. Now I'm talking an energetic dying. It's like that saying that says, a man lived 100 years and another man lived 1 year 100 times. So it's that we're always shifting and changing. And if we don't go with those changes, if we don't go with those feelings, if we don't go with the new wanting to come in, we're like a plant without fertilizer. or we're like a plant that's being overwatered, blah, 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 because we're just being overwhelmed by the same old things that are not resonating with us anymore. So we drown in that essence and that experience. So that was important for me to share, even though I learned later and was forewarned that people don't even want to pick up a book about dying because most people don't want to accept that it's really going to happen to us. But I was approaching it more from an energetic level,
Mhm.
that when you're not being true to yourself, your energy is dying. And you can tell, I mean, a couple that will say, we've been together 50 years. And you're like, wow, okay. Are you giving each other energy? Or are you sucking each other's life force out? You know what I mean? So it's all of that. And people, once they get that concept, it's immeasurable. Is this giving me life or is it taking my life? Is this motivating me or is it depleting me? And once they get into the formula of it, they start to seeing that they start to have a lot more energy in their body if they're willing to make the changes.
Temple, I'm wondering if we do feel like we're dying and spiritually dying or energetically dying, what are some of the ways we can wake up and re-energize ourselves?
Well, the first thing anyone needs to do is start expanding their level of paying attention to their everyday life. You know, the what I'm doing, the where my career is. I used to say I'm a workaholic. Now I say I'm a purpose holic, right? Workaholic sounds like I need to be fixed. Purpose holic sounds like I'm excited, I'm on purpose, and I love what I'm doing. And it can be subtle. Like, a lot of people, how are you? I'm so busy. I'm just so busy. I'm so busy. That sounds so martyrdom. It sounds so victimhood. How about I am so creative. You won't believe how full my calendar is. So it's little bitty practical things, but as I stated earlier, once you tune into it, you start noticing, oh, I took the grandkids for the whole weekend. I didn't really want to do that. Next time, I think I'm going to say, give a different answer or say maybe not such a long time. So what energizes you and what depletes you? Taking care of your being, of your temple, of your life experience. And more importantly, what I learned on the years traveling, teaching stress management, it's your opinion about what you do. And so if you have an opinion about something that you do, that you're doing it begrudgingly, or you're not doing it full in and with joy, it drains your energy. And so you start paying attention to, in a daily way, you can reflect at the end of the day as you're going through your mind, how was my day? Was I giving energy to those experiences? Was I being present to the people that I were talking to? Or was I just multidimensionally being preoccupied? You know, did I do that experience just because I felt like I needed to, or because I really, really wanted to put my whole self in? And it just becomes very simple to pay that attention. For me, it was changing the way that I believe about energy. Is that, we don't manufacture energy. God does. We we maintain it. We can do things like eating that's good for our body, taking care of ourselves, getting rest, those kind of things. But we don't manufacture energy. The Creator does. And so that was a big shift in my life, Debbie. It's when I realized it's one thing to say change your thinking, change your life. It's another thing to change your energy, and your life will change. And so I always tell the story of, I had a little Yorkie that was dying of old age. And for about 8 months, he was up in the middle of the night. I was cradling him, I was tending to him. And no one would have ever known, because my energy comes from a greater source. And so when you're into that, but people tell stories, it's Monday and they start talking about how they're going to feel on Friday. Oh gosh, by Friday, I'm going to be so tired. Oh my gosh. And it's Monday. And so there's this belief system for people to be energetic. I mean, I run circles around a lot of 30 and 40-year-olds. And when I tell people I'm 62 years old, they go, what? I go, you bet, I'm 62 years old and I'm just getting started, because it's a belief system. And then we do what is necessary for common sense to maintain it.
Yeah, well, I agree with you that, we're energetic beings, we get
Yes.
it from a higher source, or we get it from just, we are all energy. But I'm
Uh-huh.
wondering, because you say you're so energetic, and does it, you think it comes from the passion you have for what you do, or what?
I think the bigger mission for me is I want to model where I come from, because there's a difference between human law and spiritual law. So I want to represent God well.
Mm.
And so when I told you that I know you're a healer and powerful human being, I just got God bumps, because I want to model God well. I want to reflect energy and a vibrancy and a knowing and a hope of expectation for this life, that it's only going to get better, and not to live in a struggle really of anything. It's like people said, or said, you don't struggle from sobriety. It's like, are you kidding me? What would the struggle be? I struggled from drinking, of never remembering from one day to the next, and calling my friends and be embarrassed, like, did you see me yesterday? Because I didn't see me yesterday. Do you know where I was? I mean, that is what you call struggle, is being someone that you're not, So anyway, I have a good time. And I think that a thing for me is there's a couple of things, and I'm a real strong advocate for it now. We are not broken. We're simply not broken, and we're so programmed in our society that if you're different, you're broken. If you have mental health problems, you're broken. If you have this, you're broken, and we're not. We're not broken. We are incredible as human beings, designed in this life. And keep your heart open. Don't close your heart because a few people couldn't see you. It's really because they couldn't see themselves.
Mm. So what do you do if you feel like you're broken? How do you change that?
Is learning to change your story. Being determined to change your story. If there are no accidents and there are no mistakes, and nature creates itself all in its divine time, then you're part of that. That is you, the collective you, whoever is listening. That is what is true for you too. You want to realize that the only reason you believe you're broken is somebody told you that you are. And so when you start to really look at the system that we have now, and one of the things people say is follow the money. Well, if you follow the money and you train somebody that they're broken, like, they take small elephants and they train them to a rope and a stake. And when that elephant grows and weighs what, hundreds and gazillion pounds, it will still, if they feel a rope tug, they will stop when they could pull up the whole tent. You know what I mean? So that's the way that our humanity and the system that we have lived in up till now, and hopefully it will change, is you start telling someone they're broken early on. You got to have the right scores. You got to do the right thing in class. You got to make an A. You can't make a B. We're already training you that you're broken. And then we're going to add that age thing, you know that you're going to be older, so you're broken. You're going to have wrinkles on your face where you're broken. And it's where the money is. It's where the money is, because when you live in a place that you're not broken, oh, well, first of all, you save a lot of money because you're not trying to fix something. But the alcohol industry, the smoking industry, the education industry. Oh, well, no, you don't just need a master's now. You got to have a PhD. I mean, that, it's a game. It's such a game. And when you start to shift the way you look at things, you have a whole new awareness, and you just throw your arms up and go, oh my gosh, I was never broken. I just believed a few people that told me some things to influence me and keep me herded, um, like someone that doesn't think.
Yeah, I think the hardest part though is for people uh, to realize that they have that choice. Because I think so many people just sleepwalk through life and don't
Yeah.
realize that they're living a story,
Yes.
or they have the possibility of even changing it.
Yes. Yeah. So when you say, how do you know you're broken, or what does that relate to? It's like even people will say, well, what if I don't know what I believe? Well, look at your life. If you have supported people around you, they're very supportive, then you know that you're supporting yourself. If you have loving people, then you know you love yourself. If you have critical people in your life, hello, you're criticizing yourself, because if you don't criticize yourself and you don't live in that head stuff all the time, it will be so unacceptable for someone to criticize you. You just won't tolerate it. So it all goes hand in hand. And I there was a song years ago, and it said something about God and man were playing hide and go seek, and the whole thing leads to the fact that God's inside and has been all along. But everybody's so busy looking out here, they went, "Whoa, I missed it." Because if you really perceive yourself as broken, unworthy, not valuable, a part of that comes from traditional religiosity. They're still teaching that same story in 2020, shockingly. You're
Mm.
unworthy, you're undeserving, you're an original sin of some kind, and it's never going to get better till the end of whatever.
Right. Well, it's like if you keep people small and
Yep,
they stay small, then they're never going to realize their magnificence.
absolutely. Well, you develop tribes then. You develop tribes that will buy your product. You develop tribes that will do a lot of different things. And it's just, again, when you step back, it's very easy to understand. I mean, how many people go to college that don't want to go? I mean, higher education is a perfect example of that. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm simply saying that most people do it for the wrong reasons. There's something wrong with someone graduating from college and they owe $165,000 in debt
Mm. And
when
then
they
they can't.
don't use most of the things they learned in education. I mean, I never cut a frog. I can't even fathom that. I've never used much chemistry or algebra, but I had to take it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a thing. And people like you and the work you're doing are playing a major part in the awakening of people opening up to the dream that we call this life.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
saying that. And
True.
we are coming right toward the end. So I just have time for one final question. How can people find out more about you and your work?
Well, that's simple. It's my name, my website, Temple, 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 Hayes, Huyes. And everything is there that will lead to one direction or another. So that was an easy question.
Well, we figure you give one easy question.
You
If you
bet.
do
You
that.
bet. Oh, I love the rainbow over you too. That's so, so beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. It's to symbolize dreams and all the possibilities.
Thank you.
We've been speaking with spiritual trailblazer Temple Hayes.